disoriented when he said it. But let me remind, because I want to help the president. I'm sure, because he loves me. I'm sure he's out there listening. Mr. President, you have lived inside 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue for 4 years. If you can't change Washington from inside the White House, then let's get you the plane ticket back to Chicago you've earned. And there is one man who's going to make sure that that ticket gets punched on November 6th. There is one man who has got the integrity, the ingenuity, the work ethic, and the wherewithal to be able to make that happen for us. Ladies and gentlemen, we all have to spend the next 28 days taking our country back, and the man who's going to lead us on that fight is the next President of the United States, Governor Mitt Romney.
Thank you, Ohio. What a welcome. Thank you. Well, thank you, Governor Christie. Thank you, Senator Portman. Thank you, Lieutenant Governor Taylor, Congressman Renacci, each of you who've come and spoken this evening. I owe them a great deal for being here. I owe you probably even more for standing out in the cold all this time to wait for us. Thank you for your help. We're going to make a difference. I've been watching some of the President Obama's rallies, and they chant 4 more years, 4 more years. And today, they're 28 days before the election. I think the right chant ought to be for them 4 more weeks. 4 more weeks, all right? And with an audience like this, you got the idea. You got the idea. I know there's greater and greater interest in this campaign across the country. The fact that, I don't know, 10,000 people or more are here this evening is a testament to how much people care about this election. I know people are focusing on how the country is going to be led going forward, and I think that's in part because people are facing some tough times. There are a lot of people out of work, of course, 23 million people struggling for a good job. 1 out of 6 people's fallen into poverty. You probably know this, the number of people on food stamps has gone from 32 million when the president was elected to 47 million today. That's a 15 million, yeah, he built that, yeah. That's a 15 million person increase. That's even bigger than the state of Ohio, number of new people on food stamps. And so people are concerned. People graduating from college can't find work. Half the kids coming out of college can't find work or college-level work. And so people are focused on big things, as these speakers just mentioned, very big things. Time like this for the president to get up and say, as he has over these last several days, that he's focused on saving Big Bird is a kind of a strange thing in my view, because you see, I'm focused on helping the American people get good jobs and brighter prospects. Now, I must admit, I enjoyed the debate we had last week. That was a great experience. And I was able to ask the president some of the questions that people across the country wanted to ask him, like why it was with 23 million people out of work, he spent his first 2 years pushing Obamacare. That made it harder for people to get jobs. And why it was with trillion-dollar deficits, he took $90 billion to put into green energy companies. And why it was that when he promised us that health insurance costs were going to come down for the average family by $2,500 a year, instead they went up by $2,500 a year. And so I asked him these questions, and he gave his answers, or non-answers as the case may be. And I actually think that people have heard what he had to say, and it's time for them to see him leave the White House and to say goodbye to him on November 6th. Now, You know, one thing we did agree upon in that debate was that we represent two very different pathways for America. And I hope you've given some thought to that. See, the president spoke about his plans going forward. It's very clear what will happen. If he were to be reelected president, why, he would spend $1 trillion more every year than we take in. In my view, we have a moral responsibility to stop taking, let me say it again. In my view, we have a moral responsibility to stop spending more money than we take in and passing on those debts to our kids. Borrowing billions of dollars from China and passing on those burdens is wrong. It's bad for the economy. It's bad for the future. It'll kill the American dream. And if I'm president, I will get us on track to finally having a balanced budget. This is not just a matter of economics. This is not just a matter of how much we're going to pay in interest costs down the road. It's a matter of whether America is going to continue to lead the world, whether we're going to have the capacity to provide a bright future for our kids. It's a matter of whether we're going to be able to have a military that's second to none in the world. I will get America strong by strengthening our foundation, and that means getting us on track to a balanced budget. Now, there's another difference between us. This is a president who, if he's reelected, will put in place or install Obamacare. That'll cost an additional $2,500 per family on top of what we're already spending. We can't afford that. I will repeal Obamacare and replace it with real reforms. If this president were to be reelected, why, you're going to see him cut the military. Hundreds of billions of dollars of cuts in his own budget. And that sequestration idea of his, that takes out hundreds of billions of dollars more. I will not cut our military. We will keep our military second to none. And then, of course, there's his jobs plan. Exactly right. What jobs plan was a question from up front here. He basically laid out in that debate what his jobs plan was, and it sounded eerily reminiscent of what it was 4 years ago, and that did not work. I hope you understand that. He is speaking about the status quo. He wants another stimulus. How'd the last one work out? He wants to pick winners and losers like Solyndra and Tesla and Fisker, or losers in his case. He also wants to hire more government workers. There's nothing wrong with government workers, but that's not going to get our economy going. He wants to raise taxes on small business. I will not raise taxes on small business. And you see, by virtue of what he's describing, you're going to see unemployment, if he were reelected, to stay high. You're going to see wage growth non-existent. And, of course, you'll see fiscal crisis like they're seeing in Europe. I want to take a very different path. I have 5 things I'll do to get this economy going. Number 1, we're going to take advantage of our oil, our gas, our coal, our nuclear, our renewables. We have abundant natural resources, and taking advantage of them will put people to work in the energy sector. It will also bring back manufacturing. Taking advantage of our energy resources will create 3.5 to 4 million jobs. We need them. I want them. We're going to get them in this country. Now, number 2, we're going to take advantage of trade. We're going to open up new markets for trade. President Obama's been in office 4 years. He's signed no new trade agreements. I will open up trade, particularly in Latin America, to help get more good jobs in this country. And by the way, I'm going to crack down on China when they cheat. They can't steal our jobs with unfair practices. Number 3, we're going to make training programs work for our people to make sure they have the jobs of today, have the skills for those jobs. We're going to get our schools to finally be world class as they once were. Look, we're the nation that invented public education. It's an embarrassment. It's also unfair to our kids to have our schools performing in the bottom third of the world. I will make sure it's time to put our kids and our parents and the teachers first and the teachers union behind. Number four, I've already mentioned, but you're not going to get entrepreneurs to start a little business and to risk their life savings or big businesses to come to Ohio and build a new facility and hire people if they think we're on the road to Greece. And that's why one more reason is there that we simply cannot keep on spending more money than we take in. We must stop it. I'll put us on track to a balanced budget with a balanced budget amendment, capping federal spending and cutting spending. And number five, we're going to champion small business. Small business is where jobs come from. I'm going to help small businesses with lower taxes, regulations that work to help small business. And, of course, we're going to help small business by repealing Obamacare. It kills jobs. Those five steps are going to bring jobs back. We're going to create 12 million jobs with those 5 steps. We're going to get rising incomes again. Look, you can compare 2 very different paths. The president is describing what he's done for the last 4 years. He calls it forward. I call it forewarned. All right? We know where that leads. We don't have to ask where a stimulus and more government hiring and government investments by him in various companies and raising taxes will lead. We know where that leads. We're experiencing it now. We cannot afford 4 more years like the last 4 years. I want you to know how confident I am in America's future. And it comes because of the heart and spirit of the American people. We're a patriotic people. We're a people that are imbued with the great qualities of the human spirit. I've seen that throughout my life. I had the occasion to serve as a pastor in my church for a while. In my church, you do that part-time. Did that as a lay minister, and I got to know the Oporowski family well. You may have seen them at the Republican convention. He's a firefighter from Medford, Massachusetts, and she's a homemaker. They have two sons. I got to know them and visit them about once a month for a number of years. And then we learned that their youngest son, David, had contracted leukemia. The doctors did their work but concluded that there was no prospect of his recovery. And so David brought me into his room on one occasion. He was lying in bed, and he said to me, "What comes next?" I described my beliefs to him. He looked at me with seriousness and sobriety and thoughtfulness. Then later, as he became more ill and was in the hospital, he asked me to come by the hospital. He heard and knew that I had a law degree, even though I wasn't a practicing lawyer, and he said he hoped that I could draft a will for him. So I went to the hospital with a big legal pad, and he proceeded to describe who he wanted to get his fishing rod and his skateboard. And, of course, he gave his rifle to his brother. This is a young man of seriousness and thoughtfulness and character. I've seen that character throughout the experiences I've had with the American people. He exemplified a saying that I've heard since, which is clear eyes, full heart, can't lose. David Oporowski is a young man who didn't lose. He lost his life, but kept his character, the character of a true American, and I sure love that young man. I had a different experience that also reminds me of the character of the American people and gives me confidence in the great qualities that we have. I was in my neighborhood, and I got a flyer around Christmas time announcing that there was going to be a neighborhood party with the address. And that evening, when the day for the party came along, I wasn't planning on going, but it turned out that I looked behind our house, and there were some people having a big party and looking out over our house from their deck there. And I said to Ann, if we don't go over there, we're going to look on social because we're right here. They can see our lights on. So she agreed, and she got dressed up, and we went over there and went inside, and they welcomed us. They were very friendly, and they had dinner and everything. We had dinner with them and got pictures taken. It was really wonderful, except it turned out this wasn't the neighborhood party. This was some guy and his wife having a party with their friends, and I showed up, and it's like, well, come on in, And so we came in, and I met some remarkable people. One of whom was a former Navy SEAL, and he'd served with our SEALs. And even after he left the SEALs, he wanted to continue to make a difference in the Middle East. He cared about the people there, and so he volunteered for assignments to go over and provide security for various efforts in the Middle East to try and help there. And I just learned a few days ago that he was one of the 2 former Navy SEALs killed in Benghazi. And it broke my heart. He was a guy who had lived in my home state of Massachusetts. We shared some passions for the kinds of things he was interested in. And I read a story about him and about the fellow that he was with, the other former Navy SEAL. They were apparently not in the consulate when it was hit. They were apparently in another facility across town, according to CNN International. And when they heard that the consulate was under attack, they didn't go hide. They didn't hunker down. They got up with some others and came to the consulate to the aid of their fellows. That's America. That's America. That's the American spirit. We face some real challenges, but we don't run from them. We run to them. We confront them. Right now, we face some major challenges in this country. This debt is a threat to us. It's got to end. This economy is not creating the jobs it should. We've got to fix it. Our schools aren't preparing our kids for the jobs of tomorrow. We've got to fix them so we give our kids the bright prospects they deserve. Our military, we depend upon it for our security. We depend upon it to help provide liberty to others around the world. The idea of cutting it by $1 trillion is unthinkable. We must strengthen it and keep it the hope of the earth that it's been for decades and decades. This is our time. This is our time here. We benefit from the fact that the greatest generation provided for us prosperity and peace and gave us hope and optimism for the future. They held a torch aloft for us to see, but there are not as many of them as there used to be. And they're not able to hold the torch as high as they used to because of their age. It's our time to take that torch. It's America's honor to carry that torch of freedom and hope and opportunity for the world. And we're going to do it. We're going to do it here in Ohio. And I make this commitment to you. My commitment to you is that I will do everything in my power to keep America strong. I will restore the values that made America the nation that it is. I will do everything I can to strengthen our economy, to get more good jobs for our people and rising incomes again. I'll do everything I can to strengthen our military, to stand with our friends globally, to make sure we don't show distance between ourselves and our best friends in the world. I will do everything to get this country right again. That's my commitment to you, but I want you to make a commitment to me. I want you to go out there and find someone who voted for Barack Obama and get him to come join our team. This is not about one person. It's not about a political party. It's about our country. The soul of America is at stake. This is a time we have to come together and take back America. We're going to do it. Ohio's going to elect me the next president of the United States, and we'll do it together. Thank you so very much. Great to be with you. Thank you.